All right, for segment 1 today, we are going to dive into space travel and space combat. It's going to be a 3 kind of video series, if you want to call it that. This one, the next one, the one after. In this one, I am going to cover sensors and detection. Next one will be maintenance and repair. And finally, we'll get into space combat and crises. We're going to... Actually, you know what? I'm just going to get through this right here. We'll get started in this. I'm going to explain to you why I'm not covering space travel or spaceship construction as we talk through the sensors and detection portion of the book. All right. Really, it comes down to this. I'm not covering space travel because for the people in the live stream, they already got the rules and it took like 30 seconds. I'm not doing ship construction because that would take a long time, but if that is something you want, you can fund it. And we can try to bring it up. I mean, this is ship construction right here. I'm going backward in the book, but yeah, okay, it starts there with starships. And what I will tell you is it is efficient as it can be. I mean that, while still giving you all the systems you need. I think it's very well done, but I'm not getting into all of that right here on a read-through video. Space travel, this is 4 pages just to say this. So base target number 7, roll your 2d6. Spike drills, that's what it's called. That was the word I couldn't remember. Spike drills is what the travel is called. And if you fail, you roll 3d6 over here to see what happens. You literally could succeed on your failure. Blind luck.
Hey, yeah, failing upward is a thing.
There you go. But that's really it right here. And that's faster than light travel. There is intra-system travel as well, but as you can see, it's pretty short. I'm just not going to dive into that. But if you really feel we need to read through that and explain it for folks out there, fund it, and we will add that to the list. But what we are going to start is sensors and detection, because this is where things start to get back into the nitty-gritty a little bit. I don't know which game came out first, and I know they're not exact copies. I'm not trying to say that because I know some nerd out there is going, they're not exactly the same. But conceptually, because I've played Starfinder, stealing isn't the right word. There's a lot that I know from this game that Starfinder picked up on. And I think this game came out first. So if you like not everything, but a lot of the concepts of Starfinder or Coriolis, the way it handles Starship combat, you're going to see that I think this was the proto version of that, although there may be a game from the 80s and 90s that did it beforehand that I'm just not aware of. So you're going to see a lot of similarities. Because why? Because that system, generally speaking, works as a game format at the table. Is it going to mimic your perfect Star Trek or Star Wars or Battlestar Galactica or Buck Rogers experience? I doubt it. But it'll be close enough, and you're going to have meaningful combat. So let's start with sensors and detection. So as a general matter, it is very difficult to spot a ship in deep space when it doesn't wish to be spotted. Space is vast, really, really vast, and you're just a small piece of metal floating through that. So once a ship's energy signature is identified, however, it becomes much easier to follow the ship's movement. Such a positional fix is called a detection lock. And once a ship has been locked by an observer, it can be tracked at any distance in the system. Basically, once we found you, we got you.
Yeah.
To be fair,
I mean, at that point you can go dark, but we already got your position. Now we can follow you passively. You know, we know we're not looking for a needle in a haystack anymore. We already saw the needle. We just got to not take our eyes off it at that point, and it's over.
And this is future. So if you imagine what we can do now, monitoring asteroids that are out there in the Oort cloud, doing their thing, what we could do, the equivalent of a few hundred years in the future, right? Mm-hmm. So this doesn't break any sense of or cause any suspension of disbelief for me. Fixing a lock on a target requires the observer to be in the same region of space and to win an opposed intelligence program skill check against the ship's comms officer. We're not going to talk about regions. Well, actually, we will in a couple of weeks. But we're not going to talk about regions now. But this game breaks things into the different regions of space. A region is like a planet. All right, if I've got that riff, hopefully I'm remembering this right. There's the interstellar space, the hex, but within the hex, there are these regions. Every planet is a region. Every like jump point, for lack of a better term, sorry for the BattleTech term there, but I can't remember this game's term for it. Is a region. Anything that's important is a region. So you built a space station out there somewhere to do scientific research, that becomes a region. All right. And we'll talk more about making regions because this game is all sandboxy and you can create your own solar systems and so forth in either next week or the week after. So don't get hung up on that word. Now, if the observer wins the roll, he gets a detection lock on the ship. So if Heathen Dog is trying to see me, I'm the ship for now, he rolls an intelligence program skill check. And if the observer wins a opposed roll, they both doing the same thing? Yeah, win an opposed. So we're both rolling the same thing apparently, and whoever gets the better roll wins. So if he sees me, he's got detection lock on my ship. But if he loses or ties goes to the defender in this case. The ship remains he remains oblivious to the ship's presence, but can try again in 24 hours.
That's crazy.
Now, before the time frames in this game can be kind of long. You're not going between Earth and Jupiter in 5 minutes. So 24 hours is a big deal, but isn't a big deal depending on what region you're dealing with and what's happening at that time. The active sensors used to form a detection lock can be detected by the target. He knows he's been made. So if Heathen Dog scans me, I'm like, uh-oh, he got me. The sonar ping worked. So that's when we start going into DEFCON whatever, throwing junk out the ship, even though he hasn't shot at us yet, pretending like we're breaking apart, and we start doing the can't hear it, to try to befuddle him, because those tricks always work, always. If the observing ship uses passive sensors, the lock is undetectable, but it's more difficult to obtain. So if he's just bebopping around and gets us, he's not actively beaming at us, he can find us, and then we don't know.
You'll never know. Yeah.
We're moseying in going, yeah, we got this one. Is they're like, yeah, you do. Yeah, you got this. The observer takes bonuses and penalties to his opposed skill check based on the circumstances as listed below. All right, so the observer. If Heathen Dog is a fighter and I'm a capital ship, there's no modifier. All right. If Heathen Dog is a major station and I'm a fighter, so that'd be +4, +3. Is that +7? Oh, no. How does this mod work here? The modifiers are common ones, but particularly region space.
No, it's a modifier to the role of the guy on the ship.
Got it. Yeah,
so,
I see that.
Yeah, it's a modifier for the observer, and then a separate modifier for the guy on the target ship.
Yep, I see that.
So yeah, they both get positive or negative modifiers on their specific roles. They're not additive to the same.
Yep. So if he's a fighter, he gets a +0 because they don't really have strong sensors. They have fighter sensors made for shooting things kind of close in. If I'm on a station, I get -2.
Because you're big. It's easy to see you.
Yeah.
But easier.
Right. So, if he's in a cruiser and he's trying to scan me in a target ship as a fighter, well, that's going to be a little bit difficult. Observer is capital. That's +3.
That's because of the strength of your sensors, but the fighter gets a +3 to oppose the roll because he's small.
Yeah, I'm not reading this.
Okay,
right.
You're not getting. Okay. Here it is.
No. Hold on. I want to read the next paragraph and see if it actually fixes it. You're reading it right. I know you're reading it right. I'm not, and it's because I want to see if this paragraph clarifies it though. The larger ship, the better the sensors it will have, but the easier it is to spot in space. We got that. Minor outposts would reflect small deep space habs or listening posts. Well, okay, this is not clarifying. Okay, that isn't clarifying what I want. Go ahead and clarify it unless I find the paragraph here.
So earlier, there are two roles. They are opposed. It's the opposed for the guy looking, and then there's a role for the guy being looked for.
Mm-hmm.
These are opposed roles. So whoever wins. If the observer wins, he sees the observed. If the observed wins, he is not observed. And these bonuses are for the specific role. The person looking, if he's on a capital ship, he gets a +3 to look because his sensors are strong. The guy he's looking for is the target ship. He gets a bonus the smaller his ship is because it's harder to see.
Yeah,
so he gets a bonus to his role.
Yeah, where I was making the mistake was I kept dumping the fact that it's actually an opposed roll, not a single roll. That was messing me up here. So yes. So if Heathen Dog is trying to scan me, Heathen Dog is in fighter, I am in capital ship. Heathen Dog rolls with a +0 modifier. I roll also with a +0 modifier according to this one.
Yeah, because you're a capital ship and you're big.
Right.
So you don't get a modifier to defend against being seen. And I don't get a modifier to see you because I have a fighter and the sensor system comparatively sucks.
If Heathen Dog is in a capital ship and I am in a fighter, do that one again. He gets, okay, I'm just going to stop doing that. They're the same. Stop with that. He's now a minor outpost. Heathen Dog's at a minor outpost and I'm in a fighter. He gets a +2 to his roll.
You get a +3 to your resisted roll.
Yeah, that just feels weird to me. It's right. You're right. It just feels weird to me.
Yeah.
That's why I don't always like opposed rolls. But
well, I think it feels weird because the ability of one person doesn't affect the ability of another person in this role. Like if I'm a really good guy on the scanner, like I am an expert scanner operator, that doesn't really affect directly the guy I'm scanning for. The only thing that affects him directly is what kind of ship he's in. How big is it?
Yeah, and his obviously his skill level and so forth.
Well, yeah, but
it's like two hackers going against each other is the way I guess you can look at it.
If I have a supercomputer and you have a laptop, I'm going to have a better chance of success than you are.
Yep.
But my supercomputer does not directly affect your roll. It just means you're not going to roll as well, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's exactly one of those situations that as soon as I roll the dice one time sitting at the table doing it, it's going to click. But just reading it there, and even there, the verbiage isn't bad. Heathen Dog obviously got it, but my visualization of it is that, it's messed up right now. So, all right, pursuit and escape. Actually, nope, there's a paragraph up here that I wanted to do. Yeah. To break a lock, a track ship needs to leave the region. As soon as it does, the observer and the ship repeat the opposed skill check. So if you want to break, you have to leave the region, and then there's another opposed skill check. If the observer wins, it continues to track the ship, while a tie or loss means the ship slips the lock. Any observers in the destination region can attempt to pick up the ship immediately and then once every 24 hours, but the original observer is out of luck. Provided a ship is willing to escape the region of deep space above or below the solar ecliptic, it's extremely unlikely there will be anything to spot them. Okay, I see what they're saying. So if you want to play in 3 dimensions and go into basically, the void out there, you can do that. Of course, such escape also means staying clear of potential refugees. Yeah, so if something happens to you, and it's not refugees, it's refuges, I get it. But yeah, if you find yourself in the deep black, I hope you got some food, got some oxygen, got some fuel, got something. A ship that flees to the edge of the system region can drill out to safety from there. Drilling is the faster than light travel.
Yeah.
And unless they pick a chunk of the rim monitored by locals, they can do so with impunity. Is that English? Unless they pick a chunk of the rim. Oh, okay. So unless you're in an area of space that's actually being looked at, you can do this with
you
no
just
problem.
go and you're gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Very few worlds can monitor the entire system perimeter. I mean, solar systems are big, right?
Yeah.
When rolling for observation, oops, sorry, what?
No. And I was going to say, and technically you could leave it in a 360-degree bubble anywhere.
You're right.
So, yeah. it's going to be hard to find you if you don't want to get found.
When rolling for observation, only roll once for any given group, outpost, or planet using the best modifiers available. Thus, if a battle squadron, including a cruiser and 3 frigates, rolls to observe, the GM would use the skill bonus and +2 modifier for the cruiser's crew. You got to assume that those computers are going to be, for lack of a better term, networked together. So if the cruiser sees it, the fighters know about it as well, right?
Yeah.
If a separate pirate ship was in the same region, the GM would roll for them as well because they're separate force in the region. Now, pursuit and escape. Adventurers have a habit of drawing unfriendly attention from hostile ships. I wonder why that is, you weirdo adventurers.
Because players make dumb decisions and antagonize people they don't have to all the time. Ugh.
Of course, if the pursued lacks a detection lock on the pursuer, I have no idea that he's being chased. So, again, if
a passive lock is only a -2 according to the chart, and if you get a passive lock on someone, you know exactly where they are, and they don't know they've been found.
You know what's going through my brain right now that I don't have an answer to yet, and I don't know if it will give me an answer to, and we're kind of out of the subject. But I was really concerned in this last one because it talked about leaving the region, right? What if? And I don't know if this is how it's set up, but let's just use our solar system for example.
Okay.
You're in the Earth region, and then you go to the Moon region, or maybe that's one region. Let's say you're in the Earth region.
One region, the Mars region.
Yeah, the Mars region. What if you have a base on Mars? Can I just say, "Hey, we found these guys right here. They're heading to
it
your
actually
region?"
said that. It actually said that in a paragraph earlier that to break a lock, you need to leave the region and make the roll, but anyone in that new region can acquire a lock on you.
Right. No, I got that. But
yeah.
I'm saying we know where they are. They're right here. Look right there. Why should they even have to roll?
Well, hang on. If you're in the Earth region and someone escapes to the Mars region, you can contact over, Lightspeed drill radio or whatever they have here and say, hey, we were tracking a bogey that entered your sector here. Try and find him. And then they'll actively look. Now, should they get a bonus? I think so, but
I'd have to see if there's when we do regions and next week or the week after, we'll have to see, because right now the way I'm visualizing it is there's the Earth region, and let's just assume Mars is close. Was it perihelion or whatever it's called?
Sure.
That it's close. That there's like no space. It's just there's the Earth region and then the Mars region. I could be wrong about that. It might be no. Earth region is like between the Earth and the Moon, and it doesn't go any further. So there's a lot of deep space out there that you lose. Then I get it. I'm not even trying to argue with the game. I'm just curious about that. Where it's like I fully understood what Heathen Dog was talking about with that rule, but can't I just pass on the signal? Kind of like the way air traffic control works right now on Earth. You go from one to the next, to the next, to the next, and they just pass it on. So
that would work really well for people who want to be found. Like the reason that works so well for air traffic control is every aircraft has a transponder. But if you actively don't want to be found and you go into someone else's region, even if the person gets a message from someone else, hey, we lost track of him here, look for him, you still got to roll because he's actively not wanting to be found.
So while that might work for civilian aircraft, I promise you the military, no.
All right.
So, but I think it does have to do with the space. And that whole region thing is more self-contained.
It's bigger than you think. Like, okay, yeah, it's still a needle in the haystack. It's just a slightly smaller haystack. It doesn't make it suck less.
Yeah. But in between the two regions, that's like, there is that's the way I'm visualizing it now.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't really matter. I mean, if there is like an Earth region, Moon region, interstellar region, Mars region, okay. Great. There's regions in between. That doesn't change the fact that moving outside of the region, you gotta reroll lock, and someone in that other region can lock on you now.
I got it.
That's basically what they're saying. And it doesn't.
It's a curiosity question, not a complaint.
Right.
All right. A pursuer must be in the same region of space to pursue and must have a detection lock. So if Heathen Dog wants to chase me down, he's got to have a lock on me. And that means, guess what that means? I will know.
Yep, most likely.
Of course, if the pursued lacks a detection lock on the pursuer, I have no idea they're being chased. Oh, didn't I read that already? Both ships make an intelligence pilot opposed skill check, each adding the spike drive rating to the roll. Interesting. If the pursuer wins or ties, he forces an engagement and the ships are moved into combat range. If the pursued ship wins, it gets 6 hours of distance modified by any difference in the spike drive ratings. Drive 1 being chased by a Drive 2 ship would have 3 hours. Why? Because the Drive 1 ship is slower than the Drive 2, so that cuts it down to 3. So I'm guessing it would be 12 if it was the other way around.
Seems like it.
It can use this time to reach a particular point inside the region, or it can put it towards an attempt to escape the region entirely. Ships with Spike Drive 1 engines need 48 hours to enter a new region.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're
Slow
unlikely.
boat.
What's that?
Slow boat.
Yeah. Well, and this is why that whole 24 hours thing isn't that big of it. It is a deal depending on what's happening, but it isn't that big of a deal for that target lock or detection lock. Over here, new region, so they're unlikely to avoid a determined pursuer. One with Spike Drive 3, on the other hand, can make escape in only 16 hours. Some pilots may attempt to speed this up by trimming the course. And by the way, trimming the course is one of the modifiers up here that makes you hate your life +2. So that makes it harder.
Sure.
All right, where are we? Pursuing ship can also use the 6 hours to aim toward. Okay, that's basically the same stuff. All right, scanning planets and ships. Short-range scans of ships and planetary objects are relatively simple affairs. Any scan of a ship in combat range will reveal the ship's hull type, obvious weaponry and damage, and registered ID code. Notice the word obvious there.
Mm-hmm.
A scan of a planet in orbit will always reveal basic information on atmosphere, geology, advanced energy using surface communities, and other ships in orbit, and any surface features designed to attract orbital interest. So you're going to kind of know at least what it's presenting you, the tech level, the civilization, if you can breathe it. You know.
Yeah, you're going to automatically know everyone and everything that is not trying to hide from you.
You get all the Star Trek information. As you enter orbit of the planet, you're going to know it's Class M. Comms officers can attempt to interrogate the scans. Wow. Asking one question before rolling an intelligence program skill check against a difficulty of 8. On a success, the question is answered, while a failure means that the data is inconclusive and no further questions can be asked of it that day. Each question after the first success that day is asked with a cumulative +1 difficulty modifier. Questions should be simple and direct. When scanning,
I don't like that at all. No, not the mechanic, but the way it's worded. I'm not asking a question of data. What?
Well, I guess it's like asking a question of the game master's way it's looking. It really
it's just.
Well, to explain it for folks out there, it's like, I want more information on the planet. Well, now the computer has to process it. You have to get the scans and so on and so forth. That's what it is. And the more you want, the more difficult it is. But I get
it.
What you're saying.
Yeah, I get it. I just don't like the way they're using the rules to say you're asking it instead of asking the game master to clarify, because I am drilling down in the data and parsing it for specific information, because that's really what's going on. You're not asking crap. You're drilling down in the information you have to get clarity on a specific subject.
Yeah, you're reading the logs.
Yeah. I don't like the way they worded it.
When scanning a ship, a comms officer might ask whether particular fittings or weapons have been. Oh, I forgot this one goes sideways. Have been mounted. Where good boarding points might be on the hull, whether the ship looks to be the product of a particular world or culture, or simply question whether anything looks odd about the ship's readings. Yes. What? Oh, that's another roll.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
No. The sensors can probe a meter or so beneath the hull skin, but they cannot intrude on a ship's computer network or provide a map of interior spaces. When scanning a planet, a comms officer can ask about apparent capitals or spaceports, major industrial sites, usually planetary weather patterns, unique allergens or atmospheric hazards. Just bring your Benadryl with you. Current local news transmissions, or identify hidden or low tech communities that are large but do not have clear energy signatures.
Okay.
They have this survey sensor array fitting. They can do orbital visual spying, accurate enough to read newsprint, in addition to asking any questions about subterranean spaces, visible surface life forms of interest, crude maps of the interior spaces, and interesting energy reading. So if you really want good sensors, you get the survey sensor array.
Yeah. But every once in a while, when you're scanning a planet, your sensor officer is going to start laughing and go, "That damn Marmaduke." Well, that fell down. Okay. Well, all right.
No, I understood the reference. I'm just like agreeing. Yeah. Um, and I think that's it. Because maintenance and repair we're going to do as the next one. So yeah, I agree with Heathen Dog. It's worded a bit clunky, more so than I thought when I kind of glanced over it the first time. But they do make sense and they do fit the setting. Overall, like what it's trying to do here, it works in a very simplistic manner. And it does leave a lot to the game master, and in a good way, in terms of what he wants to provide and what he can provide. So that's really it. I don't think we had any super chats, unless you found some comments that need to be
Like, okay, this is why it fell flat. What's Marmaduke? God damn it.
Oh,
I keep forgetting. I'm gonna be 50. He's 52. So, you don't know.
Didn't the creator
Sunday
of Marmaduke
morning,
die?
I don't know, but Sunday newspaper comics, Marmaduke, Garfield.
So for me, it was Garfield and the Far Side when I was a kid. I loved Far Side's the best comic to ever be written.
Calvin and Hobbes was pretty good.
That was a good one. Yes.
Yeah.
Wizard of Id.
Peanuts. That stupid chick who said "ack" all the time. I forget her name.
I know which one. I know what you're talking about. Not Family Circus. Anyway, we got
Kathy.
Kathy. There you go. Yeah, Kathy. Oh man. All right. Was there anything in the chat that was worth bringing up other than Marmaduke?
Let's see here. Oh yeah, here we go. Dana McCarthy said, not surprised that they would have to roll. Space is big, even around one planet. Also depends how big it depends how big we're going to get into regions in a couple weeks. But yeah, even the space between the Earth and the moon is a sphere of about 250,000 miles. That's a lot of space to, censor around. It is. So yeah, you could lose something even in Earth near orbit easy enough, especially if it wants to be lost. So yeah, I get it. I get why rolls are needed too.
Like I said, my question was very specific to the idea of a hot handoff. That was it. That was the only thing I was kind of, I wouldn't say questioning, but just like, shouldn't you be able to say, hey, they're coming? What? Maybe not.
They'll look, but they don't get a bonus to their roll because space is too big. Like they entered around here. And if you think about it, if there is a border between Earth space and Mars space, that border is going to be millions of miles across. They're coming across the border. Even if you say, oh, this 10%, well, that's hundreds of thousands of miles you have to scan looking for something that's going to be there just for a few seconds while it's moving very quickly. And probably gone dark.
I get the idea that space is big, but even right now we can kind of do that. That's why I'm like,
well, we don't have that exact apples to apples thing because we don't have a Mars base to hand off telemetry to. So fair enough, right?
Stop. Musk has already built it. You know that. He's been communicating. That's where Starlink is stationed.
That's true. I don't know why I said that. Yep.
All right. Well, there you go. That's let me get this up on the screen here. I said get on the screen there. All right, well, that is it for this just sensors and detections. Wasn't a lot to it. It wasn't all that difficult, but it is a very important part of pretty much any science fiction game out there. And yeah, like I kind of think it was written a little clunky. Once you read it, and I guarantee you, once I roll the dice, I'll be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense now for that for the whole detection thing between the observer and the spotter. But other than that, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, if there's something that you don't get or something you want to explain to me and tell me, no, this is what you're missing, by all means, go ahead and put it in there. I want to be very clear. I'm not complaining about there not being a hot handoff. I'm just curious about it. So don't yell at me about how I don't understand something. It's just a curiosity factor. That is it. But with that, hope each and every one of you has a wonderful day.